Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second workshop in our DuraHacks Hackathon season. My name is Andre Ramirez, and my coworker is Julian Hernandez. We are workers, in specific, we are software developers from KiiChain, Key Global, and now we are going to explain you the process about how to create smart contracts and then how to use that smart contracts into the app. So we are going to dive into use different tool for deployment, different tool for testing, and then we are going to check how to create a front end the app, how to implement that smart contract into the front end section. Mm, mhm. So, okay, as we have said, now we are going to see this topic, this subject, how to deploy a smart contract in KiiChain and create a dApp. But first, let's talk about what is KiiChain, because we have said that we are going to deploy a smart contract into that smart blockchain. But first, what is KiiChain? So KiiChain is a modular layer one built in the future, because I mean KiiChain is a blockchain built into the Cosmos layer uh, using the Polaris module for implement an EVM support. We can create different smart contract, we can create the apps, we can upload different applications, we can make transactions, whatever the people want into the KiiChain. But with the difference that KiiChain has the lowest fee that you can see. For instance, if you want to make a transaction, you have to pay a really low fee just for the transaction, because the fee is made into the or is based into the Colombian pesos. That is a really good value to pay. For the enterprise, it's really valuable to pay the lowest fee as possible. Now, we are going to see different tools to create these smart contracts, to upload the apps and those things. And these tools that we are going to use is Hardhat, that is a framework to create smart contracts, to create tests, that is really important, to deploy that smart contracts, and to centralize the development process into a repository with different CLI tools or different commands that we can use. Also, we can have a Ether.js, that is a library for JavaScript and TypeScript that provides the connection to EVM compatible blockchains. We are going to use this tool into the front end section, into our dApp process development. The KiiChain Explorer. KiiChain Explorer is our page, our explorer that we can use for check the process, the transaction, the movement that we are doing into the KiiChain. We can check wallets, we can check the contract address, the transaction has, those things that we can use or we need to check or we need to see if the process is complete done or if the process is grown or any other thing. We can use or we will use React for the process of the front end section is our front end development library. Then the TypeScript for the logic section into the front-end development, and MetaMask. MetaMask is our wallet. KiiChain also, or Key Global, has our own wallet, but in this case, we are going to use MetaMask because all of you are more or have more relation or have used MetaMask. So in order to have a better or more known tool, we prefer to use MetaMask.
Okay, Andres, I have a question for you before we start the deploy. So, is Hardhat the unique tool to do the deploy, or we have any other tool?
That is a good question. And the answer is no. We have other different tools to make deploy of the smart contracts. We can use a Remix, and Remix is a web tool where you can create and deploy smart contracts. In that case, you don't need to install anything. You can write your own contracts, deploy your own contracts, connect with the MetaMask into the browser. You can use Chrome or whatever browser to do that. That is one of that tool. Another one is Truffle. Truffle is also like a hard hat, a framework to create the smart contracts and deploy it. Um, mm, and Truffle has the tool or has a tool to create your local blockchain in order to test your smart contract, your dApps, whatever you have create. It's a good idea to use Hardhat, and also, or also you can use a Truffle.
Okay.
Before that, I want you to explain me why we use TypeScript and React in order to create our dApp, and also what is the dApp, if you can explain me that.
Well, the app is a decentralized app. It is based on the blockchain, so we can use all the features of the blockchain. In this case, with KiiChain. So at this moment, we build an application with React that is for the front end, and is it is like a CRUD that is a very common useful way of use the apps, and is a way to explode all the features that Key offers to us. So why we use this? It is because of the implementation. It is fast. Why we need to create a wheel if it is created before? So this workshop is about the functionality of the keychain and not in the tool instead.
Mm,
So, what about start coding? What do you think?
yes, I agree, Joe. Just start coding. So first, we need to create our or prepare our smart contract environment. So to do that, I want you to first let me change that. Got it. Let's start with an empty project. In this case, we are into the VS Code, and let's create our smart contract from scratch using Hardhat. To do that, first we need to create our node or npm project. To do that, just type the following command and node init. Hold on a second. Npm init, sorry. In this case, we are at the different information that the CLI require. For instance, the package name, we can use smart contracts. Also, without a capital letter, smart contract. The version, a description, entry point, this command. In this case, these are information that we don't need to upload. We just need the most basic npm command. Then we need to install the Hardhat tool. To do that, we use npm install save dev, because it's a dependency that we use just in development process. In our deploy process, this dependency is not required. Hard hat. Then we wait until this process ends. It didn't take too much. Mm, let's see what happened.
While it is loading, let me let's talk about the implementation we are going to work. So, what are the main functions, or what do you write in the contract? Let me know.
Of course. Good question, Julian. So we are going to create a smart contract for create certifications. I mean, imagine you are working for a university or for the government or for an enterprise that require or needs to create or to give certifications, for instance, a study certification, a course certification, those things. So we are going to create an smart contracts that receive the student information or the person information and store that certification into the blockchain in order to have a decentralized way to create or to store the certifications. In that way, whatever or whoever person can check, oh, let's check what this certification or about the certification of, I don't know, a Google certification for Julian or for Andres or whoever person, you can check into our Explorer or into the blockchain. Yes, it's a way to decentralize the way that you store the information.
Well, that sounds very nice, because we don't depend on the emissor or the signer of the contract, because it is always in the blockchain, and the certificate is mine, not of the signer of this certificate.
Exactly, you are right. And I guess, or I consider that another good way to, or another way to, a good way to do that is because it means that that certification is unique, because remember that when we create something into the blockchain is undeletable. I mean, is it cannot be deleted or it cannot be changed unless you have you are the owner of the process. You create functions to change the certification, but when you upload or you create the certification, any other person can change or can delete. Is forever. It's a way to avoid duplications or clone the certification. Okay, good. Now, after installing our hard hat dependency, let's start with a hard hat project. To do that, we need to type the following command: npx hard hat init. Okay. With this command, you can select what kind of project do you want. In this case, a JavaScript project, a TypeScript project, or a TypeScript project with VM, or also an empty hard hat config project. In this case, we are going to create a TypeScript project because, as we have said, we want to use the TypeScript tool. I select that. This is the path that I want to use. I want to create with git ignore, yes. And as you have seen, the hard hat project is really fast. It creates the following um, files you want to use. In this case, I want to have it to install just some sample project with the deploy process, testing process. just for sample, just for check what happened. But we are going to create our own smart contract, and we are going to use that smart contract. So with let's wait until this process ends, and we continue creating our smart contract. Or mm, I don't know why this is taking so much time. Well, meanwhile, I guess we can create our own smart contract and check what is the structure of these files. So the contracts is a folder that stores, as the name said, the list of the or files of our smart contracts. In this case, this is the sample smart contract. So the smart contract needs to have the license. It's a good idea to add what kind of license do you have. The pragma, that it means the solidity version that we are going to use, and then the contract code. The contract code is so similar as a Java class. If you are related with a object programming, you can understand very easily the process to create smart contracts. Let's check. Okay, the process have end, and now we are going to create our own smart contract. To do that, let's create a file called certifications. Certifications.sol. We can copy this license, but in this case, we want the MIT license because this code going to be open source. You can check our code into the repository, into the key global repository. You have the link into the assets section and also the code. So then we specify the pragma version. In this case, we are going to use the 0.0.8.24, but actually I want to use the 19. I mean the 0.8.19. And you can say or you can ask why. And that is because if we can check the hardhat.config, look at this is the version. We are going to use this one, or we're going to work with this one, but I have said that I want to use the 19 version. So I specify here and here into the smart contract. Now, let's start with the contract and certifications. Got it? And in this course or in this workshop, we are going to focus on how to deploy and use the smart contract, not how to write a smart contract. That's because we previously created this smart contract, a very simple smart contract, and now I'm going to copy that code. We also will review what is the use of that function, how to use that function, how to call that functions, but let's first copy that tool. To do that, give me just a moment. Mm, So perfect. Now, here, I forgot to add the license. Well, now I add the license. So this contract is called certifications. We have a certification amount that is accounted to know how many certifications we have created. Then this is the most important part, or one of the most important part, and is the place where we define the data types or the data structure. This struct is to create like a data types. In this case, I'm going to create, I'm creating a data type called students. And students is a data type that has an ID, an email, a name, a created ad, and an is valid. Why is valid? Because the certifications have a valid period. For instance, you have a certification just for 2 years. After 2 years, your certification is not valid. So this one a flag that can you give you the information about if that certification is valid or not. This one is a certification created event. Notice that this is different, an struct from an event. The event means that this data type is going to be launched or shown when we create a certification. I mean, when we create a certification into the response, we have a section called logs. In that section called logs, we have this specific information. We have or we received this data type as a result of that creation. Got it? Is the same for this one. In a function, when we update a section in a specific the is valid section, we receive this one or this data type as a response of that process. Then this one is the most important part, and is the mapping section. What is the mapping section? The mapping section is like just imagine you have an array of JSON or key value objects. Got it? That array receive or that key value objects receive an unsigned int and return an student object. For instance, you have this array. That array have key and is an unsigned int. I don't know, like the 0, and return the student. The student going to have an ID. This one is a unsigned int. Also have an email, a name, those things, right? This variable going to have the list of the different certifications that we have created. Now we have the functions, create certification. This function, just as the name said, is the function to create a certification. That function receives these parameters, the ID, the name, and the email, and return, as we have seen in this part, the certification created event. This is shown into the receive section, into the result of have called the create certification function. Nice. Let's continue. Invalid contract. This is a function that is like a CRUD, or this code is like a CRUD. This function is related to the update operation, because this function, when it's called, modify the valid section or valid property of the student of this one. The is valid, each change from true, sorry, to false, and then return this event, the certification update event. And if we saw the data type, this one has the ID and updated. The updated is in true. Finally, we have the get certification, because just remember, you are into the Explorer, or you have your own dApp, and you want to check if your friend or your coworker or the new worker have that certification. You need to search that certification. So in that case, the smart contracts provide a function to get the certification based on on the ID. So in this case, when we call this function, the ID is provide, and then the function returns this information, the ID of the certification, the email, the name, create add, and the most important, if is valid. Look at that this function is view. It means that this function won't change anything or into the smart contract. It's just for view information, not to write, not to update, nothing, just view information. Got it? So this is our smart contract, and now we are going to deploy into our KiiChain blockchain. To do that, we have to check the hardhat config. What is the hardhat config? This file is a really good tool to specify what is the blockchain that we want to deploy, or the blockchains, because we can specify different blockchains and then deploy in different moments or in those blockchains. So now we want to specify the networks, and this network is called KiiChain, and that network have the URL or the RPC URL where you can connect or where you can check the information, and also the chain ID. In this case, in KiiChain, we have the following chain ID. Got it? Then we have to add the URL, URL. In a few moments, I'm going to add the URL. Then we have to add the account. This section is really important. Let me fix that. This section is really important because you have to specify the API key of your MetaMask wallet who wants to deploy the smart contract. I mean, when you deploy the smart contract, you have to pay a fee, and you deploy the smart contract based on or connect to a MetaMask wallet. In this case, or in this section, you specify your API key or your private API key as a way to connect your wallet with the smart contract deployment process. To do that, we need to add the backticks, and specify what are the or what is our private key. Got it? So let me check what is the information and also what is the private key. But first, let's create a .m file where we want to add those information. So wallet API key, and the link is not prohibited to be shown. So now give me just a moment. I'm going to provide this information because, as you have known, this information is really important. Is not public, it's private. So let's see. Thank you. Mm, Perfect. Thank you. Nice. This is our KiiChain URL. You can use it to connect your MetaMask wallet or your dApps, or use it with Ether.js. And now I'm going to use, are going to get my private information from the .m file. I have created a .m file just in order to have centralized the imported information. And now I'm going to import. To do that, we are going to launch the following command, npm install.env. And meanwhile the installation process is running, we can create the code for get those environment process. To do that, we have to import .m from .m. Then we make the .m dot, and let me check, is this one. And here we call process dot emp dot the name of our environment variable, and is, let me wallet API key. Perfect. Here we add the license, and we have said that is empty, the MIT license. Perfect. This is our smart contract. This is our hardhat config file, and now the deployment process can be done. To do that, first, let's build or compile our smart contract in order to check if there is any error or any problem with the smart contract. And to do that, let's create or let's launch the following command, npm npx, sorry, hardhat compile. And with this, Hardhat's going to compile and check what happened with our smart contract, if there is any error, if there is any problem, something that we want to know before deployment the process. And let's check what happened. And it said that this one, the logs.sol. In this case, I'm going to delete this file because I'm not going to use the log.sol. Also, the ignition, we have to add a certification.ts file in order to launch to deployment or to deploy the smart contract. Let's check if it is necessary before compile the smart contract. And perfect. It looks okay. We have any problem with our smart contract. Now let's deploy that smart contract. To do that, we have the ignition. Ignition is a tool from Hardhat to deploy smart contracts. It provides infrastructure like modules, where each smart contract is called a module where you can name or you can call in other modules. You can call a smart contract into another smart contract or create scripts that use that smart contracts. To do that, we need to create a file called certifications.ts, and we have to copy this. This one is the code for deploy the sample smart contracts, and we are going to modify for our smart contract. This one is information that is required for the log smart contract. In our case, we don't need it. Why? Because we don't have a constructor or initialized parameters. So we delete this. Also this, I'm going to call the module certifications module. This is stored into the certifications file, certifications file. We don't have to receive input parameters. And I want to call this certification, and here certifications, here with the S, and I export the module, and the module is certifications module. Perfect. With this little code, we are ready to launch our smart contract into the KiiChain blockchain. To do that, we have compiled the smart contract. Now we need to make the npx hard hat. We need to call the ignition module. So ignition deploy, and the path over our ignition file, and is ignitions modules, and then look at that is the file called certifications.ts. So certification.ts. If I run this command like this, we are going to deploy into the local blockchain, but we don't want to do that. We want to deploy into the KiiChain blockchain. To do that, we need to specify what is the network, and network, and look at, we have defined the name of the network in this section. We have called this network KiiChain. In the command, we have to specify the same name, KiiChain, and wait until the process is completed. Take a look that deploy the smart contract take a really low fee cost. So keep in mind that you need to have keys or a token key in your wallet. You can receive the key from our Discord server, or using our Explorer page in the faucet section. You can receive that. Now, into the deploy process, a hard hat needs to be confirmed that if I want to deploy into the KiiChain section, a blockchain, sorry, and I want to do that. Contract log is not found. Let's see what's happened. Mm, Here. The contract is certifications. Let's try again. And wait until hard hat require the specification or the confirmation. Okay, I want. Yes. Okay, the deployment process is in process. So let's wait until this process is completed. Usually it takes just like 10 seconds. It depends of your internet connection. In some cases could be a little, takes a little of time. Now, the process is completed. You can check this is our smart contract address. With this address, you can use it in any div app or in any decentralized application. You can call those functions, the create certification, get certification, the invalid certification. You can call those functions into your applications, and also you can create certification and apply or use it into whatever. Now, before move to the front-end process, let's take a look into the Explorer section in order to realize if the development process was completed. So to do that, let me change into uh, from our smart contract to our Explorer. Let's see. Or Julian, could you have please show the KiiChain Explorer? Because I have noticed that my internet connection is really bad now.
Sure. Let me open it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm going to share the screen.
Perfect.
Uh, oh no, there is the Kitchen Explorer.
Okay. So, uh, okay, my screen is shown. Okay, let's check. What is our smart? Okay, this could be a little or takes a little just to update. It takes like 1 minute before the smart contract is shown into the latest transaction. But first, let's take a look of our KiiChain Explorer. And as I have said, the Explorer is a page where you can find something like this. It's a page where you can look the most recent transactions. You can search or you can specify what is inside a transaction. For instance, this one, who has sent the money, who has received the money, and also you can check the different wallets. Okay, so let's see what happened. Okay, now we are going to create the app in order just to fast the process. So now I wanted to listen to my coworker for the development process about how to use that smart contract, how to implement those functions into a front-end application using React.
Okay, so hello everybody. Let's go start with the app in the front end and the conception of the smart contract. So first of all, we are talking about this application that is a template that you can access in GitHub. It is completely public, and well, the first thing to do is to organize your application like any other application in the front end. In this case, is like a CRUD application. So we are going to emphasize in the conception of the smart contract, not in the development of the entire front end app. So the first thing we need to do is to specify the certification class that um, show to us what are the parameters that we use in the certification. In this case, we have the ID, the name, the email, and if it is valid. As you can see, the is valid um, variable is set to true by default because every contract when or every certification when it is created it is valid. So after that, we need to specify a near interface that can uh, show to us what are the functions we need to call to interact with. So, the first of all is to save the certification. It takes as a parameter the certification, and the type is the certification that we mentioned before. And it returns a promise with the certification that we create before. with this function. Then we have the find by ID. We pass as parameter the ID and also return the promise of the certification. Finally, we have the update with the ID and it returns a promise with the boolean. This boolean is to check if that update was successful. Well, and now we are going to code. So here, the first thing we need to do is to import the headers, and these headers needs to be installed by mpni. In this moment, I already have it, so I don't need to do it, but it is just npm e headers. So after that, you can implement it. So
Um, s-
next,
Julian, I'm
I
sorry. Could you please zoom it a little bit, the Visual Studio Code, just in order to have more clear code?
sure it is size good.
Good, better. Thank you.
All right, so let's continue. Um, After that, we need to import the interface we are going to use. So here I will going to implement the iCertification repository that I mentioned before. After that, I need to import the type or the class that is certification. Next, we need to get the AVI. When you create a smart contract, there is a something called ABI, like that. This is a description of what is in the smart contract. Is a description of how it is inside without showing the function. So I'm going to show very fast what is an AVI looks like, and you can see all the information that Andres shared with us. It's right here, the different events, and you can see also the functions we are going to use. For example, this that is certification list, and all of these functions create certification. All the smart contract functions, events, and the description of the smart contract is in this file. So we are going to import it. So import contract API from, and here we're going to assets certification. There is. Now we are going to uh, type some constants. So first of all, we need to write the contract address. So contract address, and I'm going to copy and paste it because it is very long. Now we need to talk about the contract ABI. So I can do this. So const and contract ABI. Contract, it's equal to contract, sorry, that ABI. So here is. And finally, we need to use something that is name the mnemonic. So the wallet mnemonic, wallet, sorry, mnemonic, there is. Here is a seed phrase that you can use to provide that the wallet that you are using is yours. It's like a password. Um, so for this time, I'm not going to show you this phrase. I will put it at the end of this exercise when I will run the project. So let's create the class. This class, I will going to export the class, and it is named key certification repository. There is, and it implements the interface we created before. So it was named I certification repository. So when we create this, there are some errors. They show that we don't implement already the functions we have in this interface. So let's implement it. First of all, we need to create um, a provider. So let's create some variables. Let's take about the provider, and the provider has a type of headers that providers that JS provider. Acá está. There is. So now we have to create a contract. So this contract can be of type others that contract. Now we can create the wallet. So here is the wallet, and the wallet is of type others that wallet. There is. And finally, we need to have a signer for the contract. So here we have private signer, and it is of type dApp wallet also. There is. Let's create the constructor of our class. So for the constructor, I'm going to specify every of these variables. So let's start with the provider. So this provider, it's equal to this that get provider. So we don't have implemented this function by this time. So let's write the code for it. And here it is. Get provider. It will returns errors that providers that provider. Okay, so here we need to talk about the URL that is the same URL that let me copy this. This is the same URL used in the smart contract. So here you can use in both sides. So now we are going to create the provider. So const provider, it's equal to new headers that providers that here is, and as parameters we receive the URL and an object who have the chain ID and the name. So let's write it. The chain ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. There is. Now, here is the name, who is KiiChain. As you can see, the information is really similar to the information provided when you create the smart contract. So here we can return the provider. So there is no error. So now you have the provider. Now let's take a look to the contract. So that contract, it's equal to a new others that contract, and as parameters you're going to pass the contract address, the ABI, and finally the the provider. So that provider. So then we have to get the wallet. So that wallet, it's equal to headers that wallet, and then we can get it from the seed phrase. So you can take it like that, from there is, and you pass the variable. So wallet, there is. Now the signer is called by this way. You have the wallet and you connect to this with the provider. So it returns the signer. After that, we just have the contract. That contract, it's equal to that contract. Yes, this contract that dot connect, but the same is with the signer. That signer. There you are. Now we have all of the needed variables created, but it's time to create the functions. So because of the time, I'm going to copy and paste, and let's check the functions. So here we have implemented, we have implemented every of the functions that have this interface of iCertification repository. So let's take a look to the save, for example. This takes the certification we are going to save in the blockchain, and as you can see, the way is saved is taking the contract and using the function. the function as Andres write in the Solana code. So it is the same function. It takes the ID, the name, the email to create it. Then this is a transaction that will be made to upload this to the blockchain. We are going to wait. Sorry, Solidity. My bad. Solidity. And uh, while we are going to wait the transaction, uh, it's verified. We return the certification. The same occurs with find by ID. It calls to the contract function and it returns the certification. So the only thing you need to do is call the contract and use the function. As easy as that. So with this, you can see that now we can use this interface to our own the apps. So let's take a look how we use it. Now, uh, when you program the repository, you just need to use it. You don't need to configure anymore to use it. Just let's take a look to this brief code. Here you can create the uh, I have the certification service. This service it's uh, it takes the repository and it call all the functions of the repository and save all the information, and it is like a link between my application and the blockchain. So I just need to run the functions of the repository, and after that I have all the information in my blockchain. In this case, the best key blockchain. So and now I'm going to change my screen. So I will show to you how is it working. So for now, sorry, I'm going to um, change the presentation. Now there is, and I'm going to change the screen to the new one. So there is here present screen, and here is the window. There is. So this is the small dApp we have created. We have two two blocks of code here. First, we have the to create a certification, and then we have another block to search a certification by the ID we provide to them. So
Julian, please can you zoom in order to have a better way to solve? Yeah,
yes,
perfect.
in that way is perfect. So
Hmm.
let's continue. Yes. So what we are going to do is just create a random number for the ID, for example, 123, 123. And then I'm going to talk about my peer. So Andres, Ramirez, that is, and an email, Andres, arroba, key.com. There is. Now I create the certification, and after a moment, there is a message will appear in the screen.
So meanwhile, I want to talk about, you have told about a signer and a provider. So what's the difference between a signer and a provider?
Well, the signer is a specific um, it is specific to sign the blocks. So it can yes, it can do different things from the provider. When you think about just um, for example, these certifications can be do it for anyone that that want to do it. You need a signer to sign the block, and it is a really important thing to do that.
Ah, I understand. I mean, you said that the provider gives the connection with the blockchain and the signer provide the function to, as the name said, sign the transaction, sign the movement, sign the blocks, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So let me check. I don't know why it is so slow.
Don't
Let me
worry.
check. While while I look at this, how about talk about some other questions? What do you think is the future of these smart contracts?
In my opinion, it happened like cloud functions because at the beginning the cloud functions sound a little weird or complex because executing functions or like a backend functions uh, in other places than in your local or in your server, it could be weird. But now, having like a decentralized cloud functions called smart contracts gives the opportunity to create more complex programs to provide different perspectives of how to deploy or how to create servers. It's another, as a new way to explore. It's a new topic that we are really excited to know or to show to our community.
Okay, so that sounds good. Let's check if this is working now. Let's take a look.
I noticed that we are having a little internet connection issues, so don't worry.
So let me do something. I'm going to turn off some devices here, and this will help. So let me.
And I have another question for you. Um, do you consider just React the unique way to create decentralized application, or we can use, I don't know, like Angular or just not front-end frameworks like back-end frameworks? What do you think?
Well, in this case, smart contracts can be used with any other tool. So it is just your imagination is the limit. So you can create scripts, you can create very big and huge decentralized apps, and it is not a specific tool that is it is better or no. You can take the information and use it as it.
Exactly. I agree with that. In KiiChain, we have developed different SDKs for different programming languages. For instance, we can connect using Python, not just JavaScript, because if you are not able to, or you are not familiar with JavaScript process, you can use different frameworks or different programming languages. Another one is Golang. For instance, Ethereum has a official library for Golang. It means that you can use Golang for keychain, for create smart contracts, for create decentralized applications. With our blockchain, you can create whatever that your imagination provides. It's a good way to think out of the box and create most exciting applications. So,
So I think that my internet connection is well now. So
oh,
let's see.
let's see.
Here is
Wait, I can see
okay.
your screen now.
Yes,
Hmm.
it is working now. So I click on create certification, and now you can see if here. There is. It is a little bit of lag, but it's because of my internet connection. So
Don't worry.
uh, there is an alert that I create that say certification created, Andres. So here we can click on accept, and if we type 123 and search it, we can say that Andres has an email that is andresramirez.com. So you can also create another, for example, 54321, a name, KiiChain, for example, chain, and the email is key global .com. Now, as you can see, there is a little bit delay while I am getting the response from the chain. So after that, I can see that there is a there is created, and if I'm going to search it, I can see that keychain and key um, global.com. So
Spectacular.
yeah, that's all. It opens a lot of possibilities that you can use the blockchain.
I
So
have the last question for you, and in is the or what is the reason to use the ID or search by the ID about the certification? Because we have a decentralized infrastructure. Um, search by an ID is like a web tool movement, or why do we implement that?
well, we have this approach because if you think about it, you can use the ID as the hash of the block also. But what about to remember a hash? It is very difficult. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you can remember your own ID and search it in the certification web and just search it, share it. It is more useful in this case. In this case, but you can create it in any way that you want.
I understand. It's more user friendly to remember your ID or your password or a series
There
or
is.
a numbers than the hash. And I would like to add at this point that we have noticed that this is a Web2 movement or a action and we are creating in a Web3 application. It means that we can create Web2 applications or more user friendly, because actually a lot of users are not so close to Web3, but we can create applications that implement the blockchains just behind or behind the backend, that for the user thinks that there is everything into a database or in a server, but the user never thinks that everything is running into a blockchain. Is more friendly, it's different. It means that using a blockchain is a way to improve your possibilities, and it means that you are not obligated to use the most Web3 classic applications. It means that you can also create a Web2 applications, but using Web3 tools like blockchain, ethers, smart contracts, and as we have said, it's increase the way or your possibilities. It's a good way to create different experiences. So,
Yes. So let's talk about it. Imagine that you have an enterprise that already have a Web 2 application for the web, but you want to decentralize your operations. That in that way you don't have to depend on others. So for your final users, the application is the same, but the backend and the behind the scenes is the web tree. So this is very important, and it's a new way to see how the application works, because for the final users they doesn't have to do anything different.
uh-huh.
And yes, I think that we can finish this workshop with very good results. And what do you think about it?
I agree. I mean, we have learned a lot of things about smart contracts, different tools about it. So it means that this workshop at the end was really helpful. Also, I want to invite our users, our viewers, to watch the future workshops about different topics, another tools, another way to solve problems or to create centralized applications. So be attentive, be patient, because we have a defined schedule about what we are going to talk in our workshops. I don't know if you want to add anything.
There is no there. I think that there is no questions. I think.
Okay, so our time is end. So I'm glad to present our results. If we have any question, you are very invited to our Discord server. You can talk with us and ask whatever you want. We can help you with your applications into this hackathon season, or if you want to just uh, meet new people about Web3 applications or create a community, you are really invited into our server. So now, thanks for watching this tutorial. We are pleased to receive your comments, your suggestions, and we want to see you in a future way.
Thanks to all.
Thanks.